There we go. Cool. And we're live here on Plus One EXP. Welcome to Cult EXE. We're a channel here at Plus One EXP. I'm Keegan, the content necromancer and cult leader here at Plus One EXP.
And I'm Sarah, the high level monk and other cult leader.
So Plus One's a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation.
The dream and hope here at Plus One is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. Today we're joining us for our character study. It's a cult classic. We love it. We sit down with folks across the TTRPG space to learn more about their character and the systems they love and out of game. Our guest today is Rae Nedjadi. Did I say that right, Rae?
Nedjadi, no worries.
Nedjadi, thank you. Perfect. Rae is critically acclaimed creative force behind Sword Queen Games and endeavors to be a supportive himbo in the TTRPG space. Apocalypse Keys is a game of powerful monsters, blockbuster action, intense emotion, and mysteries surrounding the end of the world. Apocalypse Keys is currently on Kickstarter. You absolutely should go back it. And you can find a link to it in the show description. Hi, Rae. Thanks for coming in and being with us today.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be one of the early members of the cult. Can't wait to get into it, see what happens. I'm all for cults. I'm here for cults. Yeah. My favorite season of Riverdale involved the Griffin King cult. It was the D&D season, the Griffins and Gargoyle season. It was so awful. I loved it.
I'm always so upset. I managed to stop watching Riverdale before it got really weird. And I keep being like, I want to go back, but I didn't make it through season 2. So
no. Honestly, you can skip it. Just go straight to season 3. Just to hear Jughead said to beat a game master, you have to become a game master. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
I love it. Anyway,
oh my gosh.
highly recommend. It's so awful, but so good.
That show got completely ridiculous, like at a faster rate than I was expecting.
Oh yeah.
See, and 100%. I miss the Riverdale bus, and like anytime I hear about the lore around the show, I get really conflicting messaging. Like
what is happening?
Is utter trash. It's so bad, but also here's this like crazy stuff, and I'm like, this sounds like it's very good. So I know like which is it? Is it bad stuff? Is it good stuff done bad? Like what? And at this point, I'm like, I can't emotionally invest in something that's gonna like not be.
My theory is that it's straight camp. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I get it.
And like people just need to accept that it's camp and stop trying to make it anything else. I love that.
Right. And I say this as someone who like, it's my partner who's super into it. I'm like off here on the side of the computer while he watches, and I'll come in, be very like husband and be like, so what's happening with Veronica in this episode?
I love
Sometimes I'll watch a whole episode. I watch all of season 3 though. That Griffins and Gargoyles D&D stuff was just too good. I couldn't resist.
I
had to watch for the like I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. Have you ever seen someone wear a hat indoors? Which I think is like that's season 2. I could be wrong. It could be season 1. Yeah, what a weird time. What a weird foot we've started off on.
Yeah, sorry, that was
okay with it.
You're good. I love it.
I'm okay with it.
This is perfect.
I think it's great. We're gonna jump from that to talking about Apocalypse Keys. Rae, can you tell us a little bit about the system, where it came from? Like obviously you're one of the brains behind it, which is phenomenal, but can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I will have to unfortunately take full credit. I'm the main brain.
I love being the main brain. I'm highly supportive.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had so much help from so many people in terms of like development and all of that, but it's really surprising how much, because it's being published through Evil Hat, and it's really surprising how much Evil Hat is like, no, this is your game, so you tell us what you want it to be. Yeah, it's really been good. It's been super great. So Apocalypse Keys is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, very convenient. And so basically you are monsters that are holding back the apocalypse. You are here to investigate mysteries. It was initially inspired by Hellboy, especially the films, but also quite a bit of the comics. But from there, kind of like, I just really love comic books I just really love superheroes, but I especially love the more supernatural bend of them, like the Constantine stuff, the Vertigo comic stuff. And so it really leans harder into those things. But I'm also super into like overpowering my players in the most extreme way possible on this anime level scale. So I mean, I'm trying not to go on tangents too much, but just to give
We're here for
This
it.
is this is a tangent channel. Go on.
Correct. Correct.
But like, I think a good example is one of the playbooks had a move, and so I remember really working on the scale of it because early on, our first like system consultant was Avery Alder of Belonging Outside Belonging fame, which is super intimidating because she's really good. But and so she was like, so it seems like in Apocalypse Keys, you can just like end a scene just with one move. Like you can win a fight with just one move. And I was like, yeah, I kind of did that on purpose because there's a tendency in PBTA, like combat can get a little wonky. Sometimes it can go on too long. And I'm like, these are monsters that are taking on the harbingers of the apocalypse, that they may one day become harbingers themselves if they're not careful with their hearts. And so I really wanted to like really communicate that scale. So the move is called I Am Your Destruction. And originally you could destroy things within a 1 mile radius just because you didn't have to roll for it. It just happened. But then like during the early development, I was like, okay, I'm going to shift this. I'm going to change it. We're going to go back. And then after the playtest, Sean Nittner, who also ended up becoming consultant and helping me through this, Sean was like, I feel like it's okay if you just want players to like destroy a house, a city, a planet with a move. That's the whole point of this playbook. This playbook is to surge. You are just too powerful. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Let's just put it back in.
Yeah,
and so that's a scale of Apocalypse Keys.
Honestly, a move where you can just like destroy an entire mile radius is just extremely cool for those games.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you were saying it yourself, like combat in them tends to get a little weird. So it's just going just wildly the other direction and being like, oh no, actually, you're extremely powerful, and maybe you're too powerful. In fact, is sort of just like a cool inversion on the usual way that those games work.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we play games because we want to feel powerful, right? Like you want to be able to like chop stuff in half and like be amazing. So like give me the opportunity to blow up anything that I want just with my mind at will. I will use it irresponsibly, but please.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because as a GM, I just love being surprised by my players. And so I wanted to build a game where I could get surprised all the time. And it's so much fun. And Apocalypse Keys is also a very emotional game, which was and is surprising for a lot of people. So like, for example, one of the moves is like an NPC, including a bad guy, including a harbinger or a villain, could show up. And the Fallen has a move called You Loved Me Once. You Loved Me Once is what it's called. And so when you first encounter an NPC or faction, you may declare how they loved you or worshipped you before your fall. And then that's just it. It's just true. That part of the move is just true. And you still do a roll to see how it shakes out, but that part is not true. And that is one of my favorite things where I'm like, I'm going to have this bad guy show up and they're going to be here to fuck shit up. And then the Fallen's like, but they loved me once. And I'm like, oh, damn. Yes, we're doing this now. I'm just super excited.
In a different direction.
Yeah. So that's like, so Apocalypse Keys has emotions that are just as big as is actions. And it's been really just so much fun, such a huge challenge, but really satisfying to like really go all in on the themes, and working with people like Avery and Sean and Evil Hat and Josh really helped Josh and I were like working for months in the last end of it, Josh Hitty, who also wrote a mystery for the book. And so it's really, so even though it is mainly my brain, it is so much everyone's support in really helping me find my voice and really going like, yeah, Ray, you can do it. You can go all out. Like just go for it. And so that's been such a cool part of the process.
Tony's
is amazing.
in the chat saying, "Last night I seduced an infected dream out of the oldest witch to stab its heart with a knife of death."
It's very cool.
Which is just such
That
a
might be-
really incredible sentence.
That's my thing. That's how you know a game is like fun as heck, is the weirdest sentences come out of like post game. Like, I understand all of those words independent of each other, and the fact that they're put together in that order, my jealousy knows no bounds. Like, I'll never be as cool as Tony. Like, I just read that sentence and I went, wow. Wow. To that end, though, we're gonna kind of look a little bit closer at Apocalypse Keys because we want to get to know you, and we want to build the character in it and have you walk us through it. I'm really, really excited. Are we ready to kind of just jump into that?
Yeah. I'm cool.
Heck yeah.
I'm ready.
Look at this.
Yeah.
I have a whole second screen so I can show the Roll20
Amazing.
space off. The Roll20 space, by the way,
Ooh.
extremely
Fancy.
cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Fred Hicks did such a good job. I will remember. Ooh, I should have done this earlier, but there's a way to I think yes. There we go. True side. We can go through the different playbooks in this way. Just to show them off a little bit, maybe, if it works, if I can get it to work. There we go. So I was thinking the first step is to go over the possible playbooks, right, when you make a character. And so I really liked what you guys did last time with Tony, where Tony basically made himself. Right?
Yeah.
And so I feel that would be super fun to do also. So I'm going to be super honest with you. Okay.
Amazing.
I'm going to be a little raw. So The Fallen was originally my favorite playbook because The Fallen, who I will show here too. The Fallen is the character that I would normally play in an RPG, where they're very charming and they're very there's so much angst, but they're also full of hubris. I just love the combination. It's so terrible. It's such a disaster game in the making. So I originally wrote The Fallen completely for me. It took me forever to play test The Fallen because other people would always choose The Fallen. So I wouldn't get a chance to do it. But after the play test, I really wanted to work on a new playbook just because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, I know it's going to add more time to the production, but I really need to make this playbook. And it was because I watched the What If series, the cartoon series on Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the episodes was, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, right? I'm like, oh, what does that mean? It's such a good episode. I was crying constantly the whole episode. It's so good. And so, I just love Doctor Strange in general. But that episode, when I was watching it, I was like, this is an Apocalypse Keys origin story for a character. I cannot look away. I need to be able to create a playbook where you can play this character. Right. And the fun thing about Apocalypse Keys is they're not archetypes, these playbooks. This was definitely a distinction. It also made them harder to design because, it's not a vampire, it's not a werewolf. I didn't want to tell people what kind of monsters they are. I wanted them to build them within the space, the thematic and emotional space, right?
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to build a playbook where you get to be this horrible, of course, this is a little bit of spoiler, but this version of Doctor Strange is a little more body horror. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
I need to have this in my life because Ray and body horror, it's just it is my divine right as a trans person to be super into body horror. So I was like, I need to do this. And so basically, I started from there. And so The Hungry reads to other people, it reads more like vampire type, right? Because there's this unending hunger within you. And so as I was working on the playbook, this was also around the time that I decided for myself, after a year of thinking about it, that I wanted to try to access HRT, right? Gender affirming therapy, hormone replacement therapy. And it's really hard here in the Philippines to do that. I've been trying for more than a year and it's like really difficult. I haven't been able to start yet. And so a lot of that frustration over trying to be closer to the person that I perceive myself as, like, also like came into the playbook. And I just this is the first time I consciously leaned into it, right? Versus the other playbooks where it was more subconscious about the emotional narratives. Like this time it was more conscious to me. And so it was really like a cathartic experience of like putting in that frustration, putting in that desperation, but that hope as well. Like as much as there's like a lot of despair and angst and sadness in a lot of these playbooks, there's also like always this core of hope that's also ever present. And when I play tested The Hungry, I was like, whoa, this is like the scariest playbook out of all the playbooks so far. Like the GM in the playtest was like, Rae, I am genuinely scared every time you open your mouth. Like what you're going to do is a so anyway, we're gonna get into it today. So.
That's how you know it's gold. I'm so excited. And I love again, like the idea that each of these playbooks kind of has a piece or a part, but like that this one in particular is like helps describe the experience that you're having, you know what I mean? Like it has a little piece of you. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like in general, Apocalypse Keys is really compared to, I mean, I feel like as a designer, I can't speak to all designers, but as a designer, I feel like I put so much of myself in all of my games, but Apocalypse Keys has the most of me in this game, like in every sense, like how I feel about games, how I feel about game design, how I feel about TTRPGs as a hobby, as an art form, but also like all the things that matter to me, like as a queer person. And that's why this game is just like so incredibly queer, right? In like so many different ways. But yeah, so I feel like we're going to choose the Hungry playbook. So the moment you choose it, like it just populates the entire Roll20, which is really cool. So let's see. I think if you open it up on your side, Keegan, you can click on the first character study. I think it's under, what's it called? This is called the journal tab. I had to hover over it to see it.
Okay. So if I go to journal tab and then
and then click on character study, the first one, I think it should.
I don't have a character study under journal.
Ooh, you might have to share it with all players can see.
Yeah. Let me do that again. Let me just check in the edit section. So can be edited or controlled by in player shares. Oh, there we go. All players.
There it is. Cool.
There it is.
Apocalypse Keys, handouts, character study. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so just so that
character sheet. Oh, okay, cool. This is great.
Yeah. Yay. Just so that people can like see it. Like if I switched around. Sorry, I'm going between different tabs.
You're good.
I accidentally clicked on like the screen that wasn't actually it. So if I clicked on one of the others, like the summoned, like it would change everything and repopulate it, which is super cool. So this is the Hungry. The description for the Hungry is, there's an endless hunger that ravages my body. I embody the menace and emptiness of the apocalypse. My power is intimate, transformative, and harrowing. My heart yearns to consume and be consumed, just to be absolutely dramatic. So
I'm here for it though. That's a very good line.
And so from there, and each of the playbooks have like a thing, like my heart yearns to blank and to be blank, right? Is something that's always present. Yeah. And then from there, like basically we're going to follow, this is like very, I was going to say typical PBTA, but this is also like very belonging outside belonging, because there's a very robust in your face pick list for each playbook. Because I love the art of pick lists. I feel like they do so much to help set the tone of the game, but a good pick list should also like invite the player as much as possible with their own input. So it's this like dance of like showing a strong thematic structure, but giving that space at the same time is what I personally try to do. So the first thing that we look at is your name, right? And so the choices are a dangerous name, a name that conveys blood and pain, a name lovingly given to me by my victims, a name I carved out from history, a name that will herald my destruction one day. So it depends how dramatic
This is very good.
And so I want to say it's obviously not incredibly helpful. We'll give you a name per se, but at least it gives you like an idea.
It's a tone, right? Like already it's helping define your hunger in a weird sense. Like what the vibe of your hunger will be, what your experience was, how you interact with like victims or whatever. Like it's I like reading through each of these. I'm like, okay, this is very cool.
Yeah, each of these names is very much a different character in a way. That's very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I really wanted to go into different directions. And so, let's see. If it was based on me, the cool thing about trans is a lot of the time you get to like pick a new name. So I'm gonna say a name that I carved out from history. I feel is closest to Rae because when I went on Twitter to tell people what my new name, my current name, my / real name, however you want to look at it is, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, you picked it. And so that's really cool. But the truth is I didn't pick the name Rae. And so this is a weird story. I will try to keep it short.
No, please, go long.
Yes. Give us the lore.
The Rae lore. But so before I became a full-time TTRPG creator person thing, I was a full-time tarot reader, Reiki practitioner, right? So I would teach tarot. Yeah, I did that like full-time for like 6 years, right? And before that, I was like an English assessor. And before that, I like my resume is a mess, right? It's a pinball situation. And so basically in one of these, the closest way I can describe it is kind of like a hypnosis session. And so they do this baseline where they check with your body, right? And they go through the baseline questions of like, is your name blank? And are you this years old? Like, are you female? Are you male? Right? Just to get the baseline so that they can measure the rest of it. And so the thing is with me, the first question they ask, is your name right? And then they use my dead name. And I would say yes, but like they'd use a pendulum. They would use this thing where you interlock your fingers, right? And every time it's a yes, it'll hold. But if it's a no, it'll break no matter, like it's an instinctive thing. So they tried that, a pendulum, a few other ways. And each time my body, my subconscious would say, no, my name is not that. Right. And they would keep saying, no, I'm not female. Like, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't know I was trans at the time. Right. And
what an egg cracking story.
Seriously.
There's so many times that crack tried to form and I'd be like, huh? Like, what? Maybe the first time was when I fell in love with Optimus Prime as a child. But anyway, so
I love it. I'm here for this origin story.
I didn't realize 100%. I was a gay asexual like at that time. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Keegan.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was drinking when you said that.
But yeah, and so it just wouldn't respond, right? And then one time, so this is like months later, I had this dream, and like in the dream, like usually my dreams are just messes, right? But this one was very vivid, right? And I really recall very strongly, I kept being referred to by the name Ashtare, like over and over again, right? And I was like, that is so weird. And then the next day I had a class, I was teaching a tarot class. And I said, hi, everybody, my name is Rae. I said it by accident, right? I was like, no, I'm sorry. I mean, my name is, I don't know where that came from. And I said something else. And then the whole time there's one student in the tarot class who's looking at me like just really shocked face. And this tends to happen. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like in this world, you always witness someone having a magical awakening moment from time to time. And I was like, oh, this is this person's like magical awakening moment.
They're going through it. They're
when they're right. When they're
ready. You got
when you're ready to talk, we'll talk. If not, that's also fine. Right. And then during the break, they came up to me and they were like, Rae, I mean, they switched back to my dead name. I mean, I know you said that was your name, but I really feel like your name is, and I said Ray during the class by accident, right? But then they said, I feel like your name is Ashtare. I don't know. And it was like, and stuff like this would happen all the time. I joke about like people are like, oh, it's amazing that you believe in magic. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I had no choice. The stuff, shit like this happen all the fucking time. Yeah, like aggressively, right? I was born in Singapore, which is a very logical place culturally. Like I was super resistant to all of this. And so they were like, no, but I mean, is this rude? I'm so sorry if it's rude, but I had a dream. And then they started to describe the dream I had. And I was like,
oh my God, I would not be okay. I'd be like, well, I'm going to climb in a bucket forever.
And that's when Ray had his magical awakening moment.
Yeah, I've had many of those. I also want to stress this was years ago, and I still resisted that it was my name. I was,
of course, universe can't bully me into stuff. I gotta choose for myself. Screw you,
so
universe.
Fucking stubborn. I'm so stubborn. So, but yeah, and stuff like this just kept happening, and then after a while, it got to the point where I accidentally referred to myself with that name with people I loved. And then so my friend Jamie J Dragon was like, do you want to just try out that name in private with friends? Jamie's very patient with eggs, right? Fully understands the process. I was like, we can just try it out. And if you don't like it, you can change your mind. And it really just felt super good. And I kept accidentally calling myself Ray with people I loved. I'm like, you know what? I think it's just time. I think it's just time to just go ahead and do it. And so, yeah. And so anyway, so that's why I chose such a long story. That's why I chose the option, a name I pulled out from history. I feel like it took so long to get to this name. I'm going to be rude and just call myself Ashtare. Why not? Though, slight spoiler, I try to put the name Ashtare in every book so far. So there's a side character who has the name Ashtare in Apocalypse Keys somewhere. So you can always search for it in the PDF anyway. Not like it's going to be super hard to find. But yeah. Okay. So that's the name. And then let's see. Next is your look, right?
Yeah.
So let's go over the pick list options. An unsettling grin that reveals nothing. Beautiful clothing that hides what I can never show. Long hair that moves of its own accord. A multitude of eyes and teeth that I cannot fully control. A scar from the one who loved me most. I always try to put like one option where it's like it brings a person to it and it goes a little oofy, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then evidence of the wild beast that hides and strains against my skin and bone. I think people can tell that some of the trans feelings are here in these options.
Absolutely.
Right. Seeing it.
Right. A shattered collar that I will never take off, and something that hints at my struggle to be human. So every playbook has this last option, something that hints at my struggle to be human. There's always a option that reminds you that even though you are monsters, you live in a world that is made for humans, right? And that pressure to pass or that pressure to behave or to conform, right, is there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna choose. Which of my trans feelings am I gonna reveal?
That is the question.
Right? There's so many. I'm just trying to figure out which ones. I'm gonna say, a shattered collar, a collar that I will never take off. It's cheating a little bit, but that's the first tattoo I got. It's this like kind of necklacey tattoo. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna say this character also has like a tattooed collar that sometimes physically asserts itself when he's using his powers. So let's do it.
Yeah, that's
go for it. Right. So I would just make an excuse to have tattoos on my characters too. So
legitimately, yes, that is the goal. It's just how can I have all the cool tattoos always, please? Thanks.
Exactly. And I'm going to choose the first one, an unsettling grin that reveals. I hope I don't have an unsettling grin. I don't know, but
you don't. It's wonderful.
That being said, I do have this tendency to mask without realizing it, and I think it comes from like being a femme trained person by society, like to be more pleasing and to be more, all these things. But I feel like a few years ago, I realized as I was realizing I may have something like bad brain stuff, And I realized the harder time I was having, the more I would smile and act like I was okay. And so I would go back and watch these streams where I know I was struggling. Like I was disassociating. I was like barely there physically. My soul was like halfway out of my body. But when I watched the stream, I look so put together, right? And I'm like, where is he? Like, right. There is this mask, there is this like, and I realized I was pushing myself too hard to like not worry people and to act like I'm okay. So I had to force myself, like, especially during private games, to just tell people, hey, I'm not feeling super great, you know, and it would mean I would mask less and it would be easier for me to be honest with people. And so, yeah, that's why I chose that particular option. Right. Yeah. And so I think that's cool. And then Southern Grin, Shatter Collar.
Oh yeah.
And just because I want it, I need the multitude of eyes and teeth. But
yes.
Just like real life. We don't even have to explain that.
I know, no. Right?
It's just badass. That's all we need.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I want eye tattoos. I need to like work on that next. Like, you know,
the multitude of
but they're
eyes.
Hard to pull.
The multitude of eyes and teeth are also tattoos.
Right. Oh my god, let's do it! And then they just become real when like the power. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh my god. Yeah, my character just looks edgy as fuck, and then they realize, oh no, actual monster, not just wannabe edgelord. Terrible. So
good.
Was he too into pop punk or
oh, I feel so called out right now.
I'm just here to deal damage to everybody and then leave.
Splash damage.
Just drop.
Right. Close burst. But yeah. Okay. And then the next one is your origin. So the origins are a fun thing about the playbooks. I originally put them there because the first playbook I worked on was the Summoned, and I realized I need to say where the Summoned was summoned from, right? Because in Hellboy, it is such an important aspect of his character that he was summoned from hell. I mean, it's in his name, Hellboy, right? And so I was like, yeah, I should put that there. And then so from there, when I started to build the other playbooks, I was like, oh, I should always, origin is fun. It's a fun thing to have, right? And so it started becoming a part of the game, and it started to be reflected in other softer parts of the mechanics. And so, and I also realized it's just also a very comic book origin story, right? Is how it also feels. So, and this is like and it's also the first big choice you have for the character. Like up to this point, it was kind of like some soft choices, like the name.
Yeah, you're gonna vibe. You're choosing some aesthetics, but you're not really getting to the core of who that character is.
Right. Exactly. And then the origin is the first time that it goes pow, right? Like this is a core element that is super important, at least for your background. It's probably going to come up at some point, right? It's going to probably, because another key aspect of Apocalypse Keys is that you are Omen class monsters, right? You are powerful monsters. Monsters exist in the world. Most of them are not as powerful as you. And you work for the shadowy organization called Division, and you have been categorized to be an Omen class monster. The only monsters that are more powerful than you are Harbinger class ones, right? And so these Harbingers are actively trying to have the apocalypse happen on their terms, right? They are actively going after ancient doors of power to get what they can to claim ascension, right? If they open enough of these doors, then the apocalypse will, everything will end as they want it, and a new world or whatever they want will be born, right? And so the thing is, as you are used by Division, like monsters to fight monsters, it's also very clear to you that it will be easier for you the more you lean into being a Harbinger yourself, right? So there are two tracks in Apocalypse Keys. There's an XP track, but there's also a ruin track that says how close you become a Harbinger yourself, right? And so it's mechanically tracked in the game. And so the origin sort of like helps you start to form like what kind of Harbinger you could become, right? And so I was trying to like, as you create a character, you start thinking about like, what are one of the horrible fates that could await you, right? And so that's definitely reflected in the origins. But yeah, so the origins here, our choices are, and once again, I was trying to be both specific but open at the same time. So
Yeah, I already read through these and I'm obsessed. I think they're great. You did a good job. I'll just tell you.
you think I love making pick lists. I love them so much. Oh, they're so much fun. My goal when I write pick lists is to have people go like, "Ooh, I just want one ooh. If I can get one ooh at least, we're good,
Ooh.
right?"
Right now, you meant right now, right?
Can we get another take on the ooh?
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm getting
Ooh.
just a ooh. There we go.
So good.
Making home improvement references this early in the day.
Oh no. We're gonna go straight to jail.
But yeah, so our options are: I was cursed by the first of my kind and chosen to be their beloved scion.
Ooh.
And
yeah, there it is.
Right. Because
there it is.
What is scion? How are you beloved?
Yeah, there's so much. I love when you have a sentence that just because when I play games, right? If you have like a sentence that just sends your brain to like space with like all of the things you can do, that's how you know you're in for a good time. Like it's oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, that is definitely the goal. Like the goal is that. Yeah, and then the second one, this is the option that's connected to Doctor Strange. I'm just gonna say. Okay, so the second one is
okay, I see it.
Yeah. Was it the hubris? Was the word hubris the thing?
Yeah. I was driven by hubris and sorrow and consumed more arcane power that I could hope to control.
Yeah, you got the dark gold. I'm following.
Exactly. Right. And it's a really good episode though, the cartoon. I cannot recommend it enough. I love it. Like just imagine if you watch it like Ray just sobbing. Well, I was like sobbing while watching it.
I'm going to watch it after this stream. I want you to know. Because the only episode of What If I watched was the What If what's her face was Captain America instead episode, and I was like, this was fine.
It was fine. I mean, we love a very tall girl who can pick us up, but it was fine.
Yes,
she's wonderful.
Please.
I have no complaints about her.
Exactly. But yeah, and then the next option is I should have died long ago, but survived by desperately feeding on and consuming others.
I think that's wonderful, and I like it a whole bunch.
It's so sad.
It's so sad, but I love it.
Right, I had to put in some sad vampire ghoul something vibe, right? Like, just to give you a little tickle. And then the last thing is so in the pick lists, this is a personal thing. So in a lot of like other games where there are pick lists like this, right? They usually just have the last option be something else, and I'm like,
no, but coward's option. You're gonna choose one of these 4 things.
Right. And then my problem is I know that it was trying to give people the space to create their own thing, but I would find in those games, just in my personal experience, right? And I play way too many games. People who chose those options would often veer off the themes of the playbook, understandably, because they don't know what the themes of the playbook are. And then later they would try to play it, and then it would just like it uncomfortable, like it wouldn't fit exactly right. And there was like time wasted on trying to make things fit. So instead, the last option is technically or something else, but I try to put it within the themes of the playbooks. And
keep it grounded, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this one is something else that describes the depth of my terrible hunger and why it can never be sated, because this is an integral aspect of the hunger. And even if you don't choose that option, it's something that reminds you like, I'm fucked. Right? Like I have this hunger. Things are shitty.
By the way,
it's
broken.
Like not only is that like sort of like write your own thing, but also like it's something else that implies all 3 of the first ones are this thing, which is just it's just nice. It scratches your brain in a good way.
Yeah. And I was really trying to go for that. Exactly. Right. I love pick lists that as you read them, they change what the previous options were. Like that is, I feel like, for example, J Dragon is so good at doing that with the pick lists. Like you go like, so delicious. Just like, a higher version of ooh is the So also trying to I use way too many sound effects.
No, I'm here. Here's the thing though. I get it. Like every I'm like, yes, this resonates. And again, as you're going through and reading content, particularly from the perspective of who am I going to be in this space, in this sphere, if you can give someone that like that visceral, oh my gosh, I see myself, or oh my gosh, I see this idea straight to outer space with potential, like those are the really exciting moments in games, right? I think that's why we play games. We can see the bits and pieces of ourselves and get to explore them out to the anime overpowered levels that we can't in real life. And I think that that's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, that's true. Because like, I feel like one of the strengths of PPT and other games where you can have fun with this character creation process is you want to get pumped, right? You want to be like,
yeah,
I need to see this in action. I need to have this play out somehow. I don't know how yet, but I'm inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so other games where it is such a draining process to create a character instead is like, I'm so tired. Maybe we don't need to play this game anymore. It's just so.
I've had the experience of defining all of these things. I'm good now. Like, right. I'm okay.
I am done. I remember like I can't remember which version of Shadowrun, but then when the latest version rolled out, I think maybe it's this one or the one before. I think it's the one before this one, maybe. It took us like 7 hours to make characters.
Oh my god. I love making characters, but sometimes it's too much.
Right.
Sometimes it's too much.
Yeah, there were just too many options. It was so hard to flip back and forth in the book. I mean, I made one of my favorite Rey archetypes, which is this like this gay asshole is the only way I can put it. Like,
I'm here for it.
Hey, that's every character anyone's ever seen me play.
I just love making the disaster gays who are like such lovable losers, and it's just like one of my favorite things. Or the edgelord ones, you know. I you know.
Edgelords get a bad rap, but edgelords are so fun to just be shitty and snarky and like, you don't know me, like you don't know what happened on the island. Like it's the best. It's the best.
That is
and
exactly what the hungry is.
Yes, I'm here for it. I think it's great because the thing is like as you peel it back and can find the like authenticity and vulnerability beneath it, it's great. I think the problem with edgelords is people don't ever want to peel back. So and like that's all that's why we all hate edgelords. It's because it's like, listen, buddy, we all know that there's like an ooey gooey center and we're trying to get to there, and you're just cock blocking us at every turn. Can you not? And it's like, you just gotta be vulnerable with them. You gotta break down.
Yeah. No. And like vulnerability is like such an important theme in Apocalypse Keys too. And so like I realized, ooh, no, just what you said like made sense, right? Because that is really the thing that makes like these like edgy, monstrous characters like interesting is when you can get to the ooey gooey. Like, you know, I am but a queer softie at the heart of this.
Yes. Piece. I really just want to snuggle and watch cartoons on the couch, but I can't exist in society because it hates me. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So on that note, I think I'm gonna choose I should have died long ago, but survived by desperately feeding on and consuming others. Like, and I think like relating to me on a personal level, it is like I used to be one of those. Yeah, I'm here as a queer ally. I'm here as a trans ally.
Screams and bi.
You know, and then like and realizing, maybe I'm not an ally. Maybe I am the thing.
What a classic story.
Yeah,
know, right?
100%.
Yeah, so I feel like, so I think like there was a part of me, like especially because for me anyway, here in the Philippines, there aren't that many opportunities to see trans people. Number one, because of the difficulty of access, and number two, because it's dangerous, right, to be trans, especially for trans femmes. And so a lot of it is like just hidden, right? And so completely inaccessible. Like there's only, as far as I know, one gender diversity clinic, like wow. Yeah, and so it's just it's just wild. It's just really difficult. And so, but it wasn't until I got on Twitter and I started to meet a lot of trans people, a lot of non-binary people, and it really just like vicariously living through those people helped me realize like, oh, maybe yeah. So it really like made a huge difference. But there's also that trans experience of going back in time and realizing like, those are all those crack signs that I did not realize.
I just didn't have time for it in that particular moment, so I'm going to carry on.
Right? Exactly. But yeah, I realized all the times I was hanging out with like trans or queer people, and I would say something, and they would be like, "Oh, he doesn't know." Like I realize now what that face was. I didn't know at the time. Like,
yeah, we can't break this to him, but he's going to discover it about himself eventually, and we'll be here when it happens.
Exactly, because you cannot break the egg for them. So I was like, yeah, that one of the strongest moments for me was when we were playing Arhant, and one of the playbooks is the doll, which is about being a human spirit trapped in a doll in a body that you don't like.
Oh,
as they say this,
yeah.
Even
It's
just
like
being like, oh yeah, the playbook is the doll. Like, okay,
right.
Yep.
And so when we were talking about the playbook, and people were like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing, Ray. This is such a strong trans allegory. Like this is when he speaks of trans experience." And I was like, "What?"
like, and then, I don't know what to talk about. It was great.
Yeah. And everybody on the call froze. Like all their faces just went blank, and then they were like, so anyway, I'll pick the doll. Like someone just scrambled for it. I can relate to it, a trans person that I am. Not that it was written with me in mind, perhaps, but I'll just like, I realized they were stumbling over. And I was like, huh?
What?
Oh my God, gosh. So it's like, anyway, so that's what I chose.
Perfect. So anyways.
And then so the next question, and this one is really fun, is that each playbook gets like a unique question that really speaks to their core themes. And this was like a later edition. This even came after the open playtest version. So this one is for the hungry. What do you feed on, and what remnants do you leave behind? Right. And this was because like I was really struggling. So the thing about vampires and other like feedy, hungry, archetypal monster things is they can get super socially gross, right? At a table. And right. Like I love vampires. I love vampires, werewolves, all of them. Obviously, I made a whole game about monsters. I love all of them. But I just get really sad about how quickly gross a vampire can get. And so like this was really, for me, it was really important that the question would address it by like creating both boundary but creative opportunity, right? And also like creating all of these like open options. But the important thing to me are like the remnants you leave behind, right? Because a lot of time the vampire types are like, I'm just gonna open up this neck and take what I want and discard the body.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to be a ghoul. I'm just going to feast on this and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Or,
Well, I think like having those remnants or whatever kind of speaks to the depth of the hunger, right? Like the hunger isn't like, it's not something that you can like satisfy. Like it leaves, it takes, like there is consequence. It leaves a gaping hole. You fill the hole within yourself, but there is a sign that it's like still present, still there. And a lot of the times with stuff like this, it's like, yeah, you had a snack, you're fine. You can move forward and continue to do monstrous things, right? What I love about this is it makes you have to think about how you're transferring the hunger, right? Like it's the hunger still exists, whether or not you've fed or not. And I think that's such a cool idea.
But yeah. So it was really, and I just love these picklist options that just provide a lot of, and it's different per playbook, like how much the pick list affects the playbook or how it moves towards different themes depending. So this one is like one of those like heavyweight like questions and options for the hungry, definitely. And also it was super fun trying to come up with the different options. Like, so this was during the time. So this was during the development cycle when I was working with Josh a lot. And we were just literally sitting down on the call being like, okay, what do they feed on? And going through the possible like options, right? Because Once again, you know, I will clearly outline which one is the Doctor Strange option. But so the options are: I feed on human flesh and blood, leaving behind more that hunger like me. So this is a very straightforward, like
classic
yeah.
vampire.
Yeah.
right? Like trying to start a little easy. And I think this is also something that's true for pick lists, where you want to like start with something that is a little more
Ease them
familiar.
into it, right?
Yeah. If you punch them from the get-go, it doesn't feel
Here's
as
some
like
weird shit.
exactly. You want to like bring them in slowly,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then the second one is I feed on desire and hope, leaving behind an uncontrollable addiction to pleasure or pain.
Oof.
Right. And
Very
so yeah, and this was also kind of the I'm going to be honest, like if you wanted to make a succubus or an incubus, this is how you would
Yeah.
do it. Like this is probably the option. Not, you know, not the only one, but probably the one that you would. It was so funny because Josh was like, yeah, maybe we should have something like an incubus option. I'm like, what did they leave behind? We were like,
is that what we want to have in the book?
I know. There's this like moment where I was like, all the stuff I'm thinking about is stuff I can't write down. But anyway, we had instead an uncontrollable addiction to pleasure or pain. But yeah. Actually, the first pick list I had was far more like lyrical and poetic, but it was Sean who helped me like, no, I know what, like, I feel like we can be more specific, right? You're so good at the specific pick list. Like, don't be afraid to go. And so that's a cool thing about working with a team, which is not always the case in the world of indie TTRPGs, right? Is I feel like after a while, these people that you care about who know you, like can see your design more clearly than you can see it.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Right. So I feel like, I don't know, compared to the first year when I was making games, I feel like I know myself so much better because of people seeing my design, right? Like it's such a huge difference. So just being able to work with people who help you find that voice, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the third option is I feed on memory and dream, leaving behind troublesome shades of the subconscious that escape into the world.
That sounds so cool. That's my favorite thing. I love it. It's so cool.
Right. And so that's a punchy punch one. This is the you are oh my gosh, what is the name of that movie? Dreams.
Inception.
There you go. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
It was the Braum for me.
Thank you.
I was like, brah. And Sarah said Inception. I was like, of course it's Inception. It could not be anything else.
Thank you for catching that. I was like, I hope if I make the sound effect, it'll come across.
It absolutely did. What we just experienced was a mind hive. Welcome to the cult.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh, my initiation is almost complete.
Yeah, it's almost complete.
But yeah, and so I really just that was like one of my favorite bits. Was that subconscious that was like plaguing him. I was like, this is so delicious. Also very relatable for bad brain people, like just really just, you know. But also what excited me, like once again, we're going on a tangent. So I wrote the playbook, I wrote the Hungry, finished it like late last year, right? Finished the first draft of Apocalypse Keys January of this year. And then The Sandman came out recently and on Netflix, right? And I watched it and I was like, the show is so good. I really want to work on a Sandman inspired RPG, but I have no time. Like I literally have so much I need to work on. I'm so sad. I love the show so much. And for so many reasons, like it is such a good update to what was already like pretty cool material back then. But the updates just like make it so much better for me. And the Corinthian is like, damn, we are
everything.
Damn.
Apex Predator gay disaster,
Tony,
right?
Yeah, we're here for it.
Tony, if you're still in the chat, I want it on record. I was not the one who brought up Corinthian. Because I got a call out about this extremely early in this chat from Tony. And I just wanted on record, this wasn't me. This was Ray this time.
Yeah. Listen, 100%. I read this and I was like, this is giving me big Corinthian vibes. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Like, it's this very cool, like the consequence of like fractured memories and dreams and how they like like creep in, whether it's the Sandman or Inception. For me, it was Love and Thumps was a book series that I read as a kid, which like explores like dream and memory and stuff. And it's that same kind of thing where it's like you have to be really careful with these and like pulling in that like the unawake world and having there be consequence there. So cool because you can just like do so many things with it.
Yeah, it's extremely flexible, right? And I also tend to put the pick list options that are like bigger, more creative, flexible ones later, right? To be like, okay, if you want to go big, these are the options you go for.
Right.
But I bring up the Corinthian and I bring up the Sandman because I was so happy when we were creating characters before the stream for +1 EXP. Josh was like considering, because Josh is part of the series, which is great, along with Sherry and Tony. And Josh was like, should I play Summoned or the Hungry, right? And then like he was already like through some parts of the pick list with the Summoned when it suddenly occurred to him, I could build the Corinthian with the Hungry. And when he said that, I was like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, I was so happy that one of my favorite characters, right? That you can make them.
I've done a good job.
Right? It's like, damn, my subconscious is so much smarter than me. This is so cool.
It's like I'm influenced by the media I take in.
It's like I am its puppet.
Apparently you're my puppet.
No, even better. I'm here for it.
This is wonderful.
But yeah, and then so basically when Josh said that, I was so happy because like the more characters you can create within a playbook in Apocalypse Keys, the happier I get. So the fact that you can play Doctor Strange from that cartoon series or the Corinthian, right? Like
you can be Dracula. You can
be Dracula.
100%.
Right. And so like what's another thing I love? Am I allowed to keep saying what I love about my game? I guess I'm allowed. Yeah,
literally, that's what you're here for.
This is an interview where we talk to you about the things that you care about. So yes.
I'm allowed to be that. But yeah, and so like one of the things I love about Apocalypse Keys is you can theoretically make a similar character across any playbook, and it just depends on you which themes are more important. So during my game with Jeff Stormare for Party of One, which I'm really excited about that episode coming out. It was very good. He actually created a vampire, but he did it with the last playbook instead, right? Because it was more important to him that the narrative of being the last one, you know, the only survivor, there's no other like him. There are no other vampires, right? And so, but here, if you use the Hungry playbook, what's more important is your hunger, right? And so it just depends on you, like, what you want to go for. So, but yeah, and then but yeah, so basically each playbook is so flexible. So that was kind of hard during the open playtest when people kept asking. Understandably, I understand where this comes from, right? Because a lot of other PPTA books have very strong archetypes in their playbooks, and so people would be like, "But what are some examples? Like, what were the main archetypes you were thinking of per playbook?" And I was like, "Honey, I was trying to write this to be as fucking broad as possible.
Yeah.
So that you can surprise me."
Right.
Right.
Read the sentence that stands out to you, find the theme that's important to you that you want to explore, and then run with it. It's more of a question like bring your own archetype and find the theme that like matches how you the lens you want to look at it from, right? Like you can have your Corinthian character, but even like listening to you talk about like the last one, like imagine like there at one point there were multiple and like here you have this last little Corinthian running around ruining everything. That's a completely different take on this same core idea than like this hunger angle, and that's amazing. I like it a lot.
Right. And I feel like also the issue with archetypes, right? And people being like, no, just tell me what archetype and tell me what it is. It comes from a very like Western dominance perspective.
100%.
Right. Like what we perceive to be these archetypes. And I say this as someone who is from the Philippines, but also like working through my post-colonization stuff, because like there's a lot of like, just to get into RPGs here, you kind of have to have a very like Westernized mindset by some standards, right? It's not the same as having a Western mindset, but it's influenced by it, right? That post-colonial stuff. And so, but yeah, so there's this issue of like, well, if I just keep leaning into what these archetypes are, they drag with them all of these things that feel inaccurate or untrue to me and box people in, right? So even though, and there's nothing wrong with archetypes that make sense to you, but the idea that they're universal ones is like, it's just so untrue to me, right? And so, yeah. So that's another reason Apocalypse Keys doesn't have like those archetypes. Like I remember playing Brindlewood Bay for the first time, and I was like, I don't understand half of these fashion descriptions. Like I had to look this up because none of this makes sense to me. Even though I grew up watching Murder, She Wrote, I don't understand it.
Right.
You know, and that's because the game is written with the assumption that you understand what the sleepy, you know, coasty, I forgot the term, town, right, is. So but yeah, okay, so that's a lot of, I haven't even gotten to the
we're okay, we're gonna keep trucking. So we talked with Cover Memory and Dream,
like halfway through the pick list.
We're good.
But yeah, so the next one is I feed on monsters and fear, leaving behind volatile curses, because I wanted like, if you want to be a character who goes after it, like who just is here to fuck shit up, I want to give you that option to like have permission to fuck shit up, go after monsters, be volatile. And then the next one is the Doctor Strange option, which is I feed on magic and secrets, leaving behind fragile cracks in reality. So because cool. Like I want to have options where people go like, what does it mean to have cracks in reality? Like, what's that?
Yeah, have fun defining those at the table.
Right, exactly.
Yes, I will have so much fun. Thank you. I will be taking this now and we're just going to do some wild shit with it. Like yes.
Yeah, it's just cool. It's like leaving it an open question. It's just a cool way to be like, hey, define this in your own world.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because I really want people to see that no matter how strong the themes and structures are in Apocalypse Keys, they are absolutely up to your interpretation, right? Like, so play to find out is such a popular thing to say, but I feel like we're still discovering and we're still talking about what play to find out actually means, right? Yeah. So like, this is just my way of like pushing the conversation a bit. Oh my gosh, I see a little bit of kitty tail in Keegan's screen, and I'm like, oh,
unfortunately, my screen cuts off like right here, so nobody can see him. Yeah.
But everyone needs to know Giles is perfect and
so perfect.
He's very good. Here, and I'm not moving my camera to show it to you because I'll never get myself lined up again. But I had to leave stream a second ago. I just ran out because him and my dog were just fighting in the other room.
Oh no! Oh no! It happens. It happens. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! My cat started yelling. Oh my gosh! Here we go. I have 3 cats.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, and then the last one, once again, speaking to the themes being open, is something else that describes how dangerous my hunger is and how it draws in terrifying scavengers. Right. And so the scavengers is like this new thing that wasn't necessarily there in the previous options, but it's like, what else is going to happen to the remnants? Right. I want to introduce the idea that there are scavengers who want to go after them. And if you choose that option, it means that there's a more active sense of what they could be.
Right. One, it just immediately builds out the world that you're existing in and makes you think about like the consequences of what you're dealing with, right? Like you have impact. You are this crazy monster. You're not a harbinger, but you're getting there. And like there is an ecosystem that exists. And like even just like adding that scavengers piece already builds out that completely, right? Because like it makes sense. You are an apex predator. There are things that are going to be constantly lurking around you, whether it's your victims or the remnants you leave behind or something that feeds on the remnants. Like it's so cool how it tonally immediately creates this like this avenue of consequence and choice. It's very cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I feel like with a lot of my playbook design in general, I want to create such a rich palette that you can draw from, that you can take your time drawing from. Like you don't need to do it, and it's impossible to do it in the first session. Like I want the game to be able to tell you, yeah, you can play this for a lot of sessions and keep drawing from the stuff that you originally chose in the first session. Like that's what's cool and fun about this. So yeah. So in terms of like which one I'm going to choose, which one is very Rae? Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom.
I really want you to choose Feed on Human Flesh and Blood and then just don't explain it. Like, okay, great. Now into Powers of Darkness. Like, wait, no, we gotta go back.
We need the context.
It's so tempting. It's so tempting. And like but also like the first one was also like a hidden like queer trans thing where like people are like, oh, you're gonna make me trans or queer too, right? If you infect me with your gay agenda, whatever that means.
Shit. This is why gays love vampires. God damn it.
I'm so sorry. It's the vampires are the gay agenda. That's what they are.
Oh my god, the vampires are the gay agenda. Very good.
But there you go. I think actually I'm gonna choose I Feed on Memory and Dream, not just because the current fit is very cool. But I was talking about dreams earlier where my name like first came to me, but also like so I have this very weird relationship. So people who know me and have seen my work, I brought it up before. I have this very weird relationship with memory. I've been diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, and so what that means is when I have really big seizures, it'll just delete sections of my memory, like just randomly. It feels random. It feels like stuff I don't usually access or I haven't accessed in a while, but it's mostly random. I also have like other bad brain things that just make memories difficult to form and stay. And so yeah, it's like I honestly didn't realize how people's memories were different from mine until I started doing game design and describing my relationship with memories. And I would hear people say, oh, it's so weird because I can perfectly remember something that happened 3 years ago. And I'm like,
absolutely not. No, I feel that.
What the fuck are you talking about? Right? Like, and like, I remember in one game, I was talking about how like, oh, if you're going to describe a memory, and this is in Arhant, if you're going to describe a memory, I recommend that you either, and I was just describing how my memories form, which is either it's going to be like a hyper specific short moment with all the details involved, like an animated GIF, right, where you can clearly see everything, or it's this memory that covers a lot of time but is very vague and has no details and it's just this general sense, right? And when I describe that, there are people who are like, oh, it's so weird to see memories that way, like, you know, that distinction doesn't apply. I was like,
what do you mean it doesn't
apply? Isn't it what?
I'm truly listening to like, yeah, that's just how memories work, right?
Just
oh no.
Let's see what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. So I'm gonna choose that one. But just know, chat and people watching, I do feed on human flesh and blood and I will not explain.
Perfect.
You know, I just can't choose to. So the next one is Powers of Darkness. So this is fun. This is one of those choices that are so small, but
this
so
one feels
significant.
Extremely consequential.
Yeah. Because it completely. So by this point, because I felt like if it was earlier on, you're still figuring out who the character is, right? And so by this point, you have like a very strong idea, like for our dude here, that is very much me. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know what I'm going to say? I feed on memory and dream. I'm going to say, oh my God, let's just be super edgelordy, right? Like my cult is here to support me. I'm just going to say I was like I was a vampire, right? But then,
right.
But like I should have died long ago and survived by desperately feeding on and consuming others. But I think what happened was, at some point, I died and the hunger kept living, right? And so like there's nothing left of me. There is only like memory and dream, there is a memory of who I was, and that's all there is. And so I have to keep feeding on other memories to keep my own memory, my own sense of self alive.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I just want to be wretched, you know, like,
yes.
So that when I do bad things, people will be like, should I pity
I get
this
it though.
asshole?
I get it though. Like that's how you know. Like you got a good character because it's like you do stuff and he goes, yeah, but I guess it makes sense. Like it's just like, yeah, okay. You get a pass. I know where you've been. You get a pass.
Yeah, this is why you're making all these bad life decisions, you know? Like so with that in mind, looking at the powers of darkness, and this pick list is going to like color all the other moves that
Going
you use.
forward.
And so this was like one of the hardest parts of the design, even though it felt very important to me, is to have these powers of darkness and then building basic moves that could shift and accommodate these powers of darkness, and then building your own playbook moves that could also shift and accommodate the powers of darkness. And like this dance, it's this very like, it's both art and science kind of dance to do so. So this is probably always the hardest list to come up with. And by the time I got to the Hungry, it was like really the hardest because like I had made 6 playbooks before this one.
Right.
So yeah. So the options here are Corrupting Touch, Haunting Aura, Transfiguration through Pain. I wanted to like, I couldn't put like Body Horror as an option. So that's that is what it's open to.
But that's
what it is.
That's what it is.
Everybody watching, it's the Body Horror option.
I was gonna say cult exclusive content here.
This is the trans body horror option. Let's keep going.
100%.
This is old hat now.
Exactly. And then the next one is Mystical Power, still from my victims. Once again, the Doctor Strange option. And then Weapons of Blood and Bone, just because it's cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's very like, it still has the element of that kind of body horror aspect or whatever. Like, because like when I read that, I think of like it's coming from yourself, you know, almost like it's very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very cool.
Yeah. I heard like during the playtest someone picked it and they were like, oh yeah, it's a Blood and Bone of my victims. And I'm like, damn, that's also good.
Metal. That's metal.
Right? You know, I thought the trans concept and you thought that is amazing. I love it. Right. So it was also like being specific enough that it goes with the themes of the playbook, but once again being open to interpretation. Right. And so I think, let's see what feels I love how the chat is just going, hey. Oh my god, my Filipino is showing because I went I instead of A. But anyway, okay, so I'm gonna choose. I have to choose the trans.
Yeah,
horror,
it wasn't a question. What's the other one? Is the question?
Yeah.
Right, I'm in pain every day, so I'm just gonna choose that one and use it as a power of darkness. I think the other one. Ooh, Haunting Aura was also an interesting thing because this was really difficult in how to get across the vampire mystique and dazzle, but not be an asshole, right? Because like, you know, instead of like, you know, being able to just outright manipulate people, you know, so I think this was the one I worked on. Like, it was so hard to just settle on Haunting Aura. This is the thing about game design. You can spend like days on 2 words.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Right? But here's the thing, those are great words, right? Because haunting, because it can be so many things. Like there's like a good haunting and a bad haunting, and it's not necessarily like a charm or like manipulation thing, but it's like an itch in the back of your brain. Like you just can't quite settle with it. And like you did good. You did the 3 days to get those 2 words. Well spent.
There's some designers who are just very good at finding like a few evocative words. Like you're very good at it. Josh is very good at it. Josh.
I was about to bring him.
Incredible at. You'll just read something that's like, I don't know what these words mean, but they feel great.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
But they make my brain go. Brr.
Yeah, I think it's because he's both an artist and a biology teacher, so it's just like powerful like combination, level 99 combination.
He wrote something
no,
for
I
In
was
Extremis,
about
and I had to ask. I was like, "What does this mean?" And he's like, "I don't think it means anything." And I was like,
yeah,
"That's
yeah.
incredible. I love that."
That's even better. That's even better. Oh my god. Yeah. No, it's amazing when he does that. Oh my gosh, it's so great. I love working with Josh. So I was gonna bring up Josh though, because like out of those days working at Haunting Aura, one of those days was going with Josh. Looking at the thesaurus, going over every single word, like excruciating. But so good because Josh was there and Josh is amazing. So with that, I think I'm gonna choose Haunting Aura, and I'm going to specify that it's because when I lean into my powers of darkness, I can use my aura when they come in close to show me their most painful memories and dreams, right?
Ooh.
The most raw and vulnerable moments.
I love this edgelord we're making.
I know, I'm about it. I just, because like as we keep building the little spiny outside, like that inside though, like, oh my god, so many secrets in there.
Right. And I feel like if I'm with someone too long, oh my god, let's just go all out.
Yes.
If I'm with someone too long, even if I care about them, their memories and dreams start to like interchange. Like people can't tell the difference between what is a memory they had, what is a dream they had, and it starts to break down. So I can't let myself get too close to people.
Yes.
I'm gonna hurt them.
This is what I'm talking about.
Right? I have to go there, right? Because then I'll want to be close.
Yes, exactly. You gotta have those, you gotta get those prickly pears out there.
Mm-hmm.
That some other character, some other PCs or NPCs can be like, nope. I'm gonna knit you a sweater and I'm gonna hug you about it.
Right. A sweater that says it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be sad.
Oh no.
I literally, just side note, because this is me as a person, I have in my hallway, it's a cute illustration of a very sad Batman, and it just says it's okay to be sad on it, and like that is like me as a person.
Oh my god, can I tell you? So this is something people on Twitter know about me. When I get really, really, really stressed, I dream about Batman. And
did we just become best friends?
We did. We became culty best friends. And it's a very specific dream all the time. It is like I'm doing something like on the computer, whatever, and then the window opens and suddenly Batman is there because Batman is Batman, right?
Yes.
Like the opposite of Edward from Twilight.
Yes. In every way.
Right. And so suddenly Batman's there and like they need my advice because they need me to help them crack a case or like see things from a different perspective. And the dream is just
what you're telling me is that your subconscious, when it's real stressed out, becomes Batman and comes to you, Ray, and it's like, Ray, my dude, we gotta fucking chill. We need to fucking.
Why can't I have stress dreams at it's cool? Because if I get stressed, all I dream about is going into work and answering phones. This isn't a joke.
I have a utility belt.
I've answered so many phones in my dreams. This is stupid. I'm so mad.
My usual stress dream is me packing and heading to the airport.
Oh my god.
Okay, very similar energy. I get it now.
Right, Batman is special. Batman is like the high level.
That's like can't even anymore.
Right. The Batman dream is like, Ray, we need to help you through therapy. I actually brought this up with my therapist. And they were so amazing because there was a moment where their face cracked and they quickly recovered. They were like, I see, Batman. Okay. And so like
it's
if you would attach the word Batman to another word to make sense of who this person is in your dreams, what would you say? And I was like, Dad? Batman Dad? And my therapist once again was like, yes.
Yes.
Like, I'm just gonna stay calm.
I'm identifying with the words that you're saying to me right now so hard, and we're gonna talk about it later.
We're best friends. Is Keegan okay?
Keegan's not okay.
I'm just imagining that eventually you're gonna have this Batman dream, and Batman's gonna have the voice of your therapist, and you're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Oh my god, no, Batman talks like Kevin Conroy, of course.
Of course. Of course.
Sure.
The one true Batman.
But one day he may sound like my therapist. That is correct. They may
Dad man.
Batman dad, Bat dad.
Bat Dad.
So good.
Yeah, and then so, but yeah, okay, but yeah, I just love Batman.
Yeah.
So
It's very
good
good.
example of an edgelord too, right? Like when
Yes.
Batman is done well, it's a good edgelord.
We
So-
could
Yes.
build a Batman in this system. I'm 90%
100%.
positive.
We could build the hungry version of Batman. Like
Yes.
that's what's so cool
my
about this.
God.
It's like
Yeah.
you come with your archetype,
Mhm.
sit down and figure out what lens you want to look at it through, because
Yeah,
that would be so
I'm
cool.
so sorry, Sarah, but I do need to inform you. Batman is in fact the last because his parents fucking died.
Because
Oh!
no. Can you
I
imagine the summoned Batman though? Like think about that.
No
I
shit.
was-
God, we're gonna get so distracted. We have to move
I know.
forward.
I'm so
I was
excited.
about to bring up the Shade, which is the more investigative playbook. Anyway,
Oh,
we're
yes,
gonna next time we're gonna just make several Batmans. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh my gosh.
New
Oops,
cult
all
stream where we
Batmans?
just make
Oops, all
Batmans. Oops, all Batman.
So
I
good.
love it.
Oh no.
Launching Q2 2023. Oops, all Batman.
That is the next game. Oops, all Batman. So
Let's
that
let's
is
talk about what your darkness demands of you. Let's
yeah.
get those two out of the way,
Mhm, mhm.
because this is
So-
also very good.
Yeah, so this is like single-handedly. So all of this has been super important to like build your character. But the
Mhm.
one that you are encouraged to, as a player, and your keeper, the GM, is encouraged to like refer to all the time is what the darkness demands of you, right? So this is what is bringing you closer to become a harbinger. This is like directly tied to like at least one move. And it is this like ongoing conversation of what is it that will make you break, right? What is it that will make you give up on your humanity, right? Is what this question is. And it's really, originally it was just supposed to be one that you choose, but Avery early on was like, why not have it be two so that people can get really caught up in things? And I was like, oh yes, let's do it, right? So so the options for the hungry, and it's always fun coming up with different ones for each playbook. So the ones for the hungry are to create others as hungry as myself, to consume what lies beyond Doom's door, because you're always trying to like unlock Doom's door in every mystery basically. And then the third one, edgelord option, to corrupt what is beautiful. I mean,
See, I would say edgelord's option is that next one, to love what
Oh!
can never be mine.
it's
Same.
also true.
That's some Wuthering Heights Heathcliff bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
Just to absolutely channel in the yearning.
Yes.
I'm gonna we're gonna get to that in the next bit.
Yes,
But
yes.
in terms of the yearning, it'll come up. For the literal word yearning is part of this playbook. So, and then but yeah, so to corrupt what is beautiful, I really wanted to put it out there because I wanted the character, the player, to define what is beautiful, and like, does it like mirror you? Does it instead is an opposite of what you are, right? Like that question, which is also a very trans question, right?
Yeah.
And so but yeah, and then of course the love, it can never be mine. There's always like at least one deeply emotional option in what does the darkest demand of you for every playbook. And then next is to be feasted upon by the most powerful harbinger of the apocalypse, because I just wanted an option where you're like, I want to be fed on for once. Like,
Yeah.
why isn't
I'm
anyone getting
sick of me.
It like almost reads as like this like weird lovesick thing, and I can't imagine not playing it that way.
Yes.
right? Man, how vulnerable do I want to get a main? The hungry also contains a lot of my pining, a lot of my yearning,
Yes.
right? Which is like, I feel just so personally linked with my transness. So like, yeah. There's just a lot of it there. So that is definitely the option where it was like most obvious. And then next is to destroy the good in those I love and care for.
Oh, that one hurts my heart so big, but I love it a lot. I really like that. Like, I'm having a visceral, like, response to that one, because it's just like, your goodness hurts and I don't like it. Like, it just, but I do like it. Like it's very good.
And what I love is that it further invites you to define, right? Like
Right.
what is good. I have
Yes.
had in playtests, like people say the most beautiful, heartbreaking, chilling things when they give into what the darkness demands. Like there was one playtest where this other character, so someone was like telling me what happened during the game, and the hungry was like, I think I'm torn between, because there's a basic move that's connected directly with what the darkness demands of you. And they're like, I think I'm torn between because I see the good in you. And this is the first time that they established that they love and cared for the character, right? By doing so. And I want to destroy it. And the keeper was like, what is it? What's the good that you see in them that you want to destroy? And they said, it's that you don't trust me. And that's what I love about you. Like, you know that I can't be.
Literal full body chills.
Yeah.
Sarah, I thought you had legitimately frozen for a second.
I did inside my heart. Are you kidding me? That's
right?
so baller. That's a so good.
And then it snowballed into them unleashing the dark using their I'm sorry, in the gnawing edge of hunger, which we'll get to in a bit, but basically they fed on the other characters' memories of like why the hungry is dangerous to take it away. And then so that to destroy that goodness, like that they're afraid of them. And they're like, and then the other player was like, yeah. And then from now on, I trust you, even though I shouldn't. Right. And I'll never believe that you can hurt me, even though you can.
I'm going to put my hand through a wall.
They're just the layers and the depth and the like,
right.
This is why we play games.
Right.
This is why we play games.
The keeper was like, we needed to take a 10-minute break after that. Everyone was just like in the corner rocking back and forth.
I understand that because I'm right now like, I need to take a break. I need to go sit in a corner and rock for 10 minutes.
I want to know what it's like to be seen like that. Shit.
Exactly. And I really try my best to have those moments be like inspired, and they happen almost all the time in Apocalypse Keys, which I'm so proud of. I really love that so much. How these big feelings come into play, right? So, yeah.
What two of these do you feel like are in your space?
Man, I have to say, like within this character, within me as a character, it's gotta be. Oh man, I just want to be babied. I'm gonna be feasted upon by the most powerful harbinger of the apocalypse.
Hell yeah!
Treat yourself.
You know, just like I want to find a hot harbinger and have problematic feelings. You know, like let's just be disaster gay. And then the other option, I just gotta go for. I just have to do it right to destroy the good in those I love and care for.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so good.
Right.
I'm in physical pain, like thinking about that sentence. It's so good.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna justify it both personally and in character. Personally, in that I think like a lot of the bad brain stuff that happens for me is this really untrue idea that I am bad for the people I love.
Yes.
Right. Which is like, you know, it's so sad how relatable it is for all of us.
Yeah.
It should not be.
We shouldn't be here nodding along now that you say
but it's like that it's a human experience, and like it's something like it's this weird lie that like we're all just very convinced of, and like I feel like most people spend their days just being like, how do I not bother literally anyone else with my presence? And that's why it's so upsetting when people seemingly don't care, and you're like, how can you be this way?
The rest of us are suffering in silence.
Right. Can you also get it together?
100%. And in a character justification way, I'm gonna say, because we established that there are no other vampires, right? As far as this poor Ashtari hungry knows, right? And he is convinced that it is because like other vampires like him didn't destroy the goodness in themselves, right? They allowed themselves to hope, and he cannot. The darkness wants to take that away, right? To protect people, which is terrible. And he knows that it's not true. He knows the darkness is lying to him, but he's like,
it's the
But
hope
what if
that
it's
kills
not?
you. It's the hope that kills
Right?
you. Yep.
Exactly.
Phenomenal. I feel like we're at a good break point
Yeah.
before we dive
Yeah.
into the rest.
Perfect. And we can
so maybe-
be in the corner and like move back and forth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we'll
need
go
to
get
go
a
rock.
snack.
I need to pee.
Feed our
I need to get a
feelings.
water. I'm gonna get a bunch of
It'll be
chocolate.
great. So we'll take like a 5-10 minute break. Chat, we encourage you to also go smother your
Yeah.
feelings in the deep abyss of, I don't know, watching too many TikToks. Live your best life.
That's a good call.
And then and then we will be back to finish out building out this hungry character with the incredible Rae. So we'll
Perfect.
be back.
Awesome.
We'll see you in like 5. And we're back and we're live again. Isn't that fun?
Yay.
We were just
Yeah,
talking
it's
about
great.
Batman off stream
Batman.
as well.
We're talking more about Batman. I sent a picture of my It's Okay to Be Sad picture. I'll post it maybe like in the cult Discord so everyone else can see my sad Batman that sometimes I won't lie. I just stand and look at it and go, you right as hell, Bruce.
I don't think it'll pick up if I I have a ring light.
Yeah.
I don't know who else you're kidding.
People can go join the Discord if they want to see sad Batman.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's so good. Sad Batman is so good. One of my favorite, my partner and I, we like quote this all the time, where what goes down an alley and is full of holes? The Riddler asks.
Oh no.
And Batman goes, my parents? And Riddler's like, no, a bowling ball. I'm so sorry. So every once in a while, when we say something that actually hurts the other person, my partner like, my parents.
This is very good. Oh my gosh. But continuing on with our Ishtari the Hungry, feeding on dreams, memories, and revealing all of Ray's secrets. We're on the next section of creating this incredible character, which is, according to the character sheet, is these darkness tokens. And maybe we don't have to get into it, but I have so many questions. What are they? How do I spend all of them? Will they get me a cool rubber ball? This is all I care about.
Right. So this is like, it's lower here in the sheet because you'll refer to it later, but technically it's one of the things that when you're picking a character to play, right, picking a playbook, like this is super important because unlike most PBTA games, there are no stats in Apocalypse Keys, right? So instead of stats, you have darkness tokens, which you gain by doing specific things, right? And so this is where it becomes very subjective because for some people, like depending on your play style, like I remember some of the early playtest feedback was, oh, this is objectively harder to gain these darkness tokens. And then someone would say about the exact same playbook, oh, this is way too easy to get darkness tokens. You need to change this. And I realized people didn't recognize that it's very subjective and it depends on what is easy for you to role play or not. So and then so basically once you earn darkness tokens, you spend them on a roll, 1 point per darkness token to add to the roll.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool.
Every time.
And then the way this sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
You're good. I was gonna just say every time there's like token tech, it's like, oh, cool. You talk to Avery Alder.
Right. I actually got this idea from, because people are like, oh, this is so BOP. And I'm like, yes, it is in the way I wrote it up. But it was actually from another PBTA game that I got it from, which is Liberté by Vivienne. It is such a good game, but it is so hard for me to play personally because you play as children who are trapped in a post-apocalyptic world with no adults, right? And it is painful. It is really difficult. And so you earn these they're called bile tokens because the more you give into your negative feelings of fear of being a child, being stuck in this world, and it's what powers your actions. And so this is also from Vivienne's game, which transported into Apocalypse Keys. But even if it's the exact same mechanic, it feels very different, which I love.
Yeah.
That's another thing I love about design. And so basically in most PBTA games, the higher you roll, the better it is, right? Which is why it can get a little boring in some games when the moment you hit a +3, it's like, well, I'm almost always going to roll at least okay, if not high, right? And so kind of, for me personally, remove some of the fun. And instead, what Vivian introduced to me, what I saw when I first came across the game, is that you can roll too high, right? You're actually trying to hit the sweet spot of 8 to 10, because if not, your bile overtakes you as a child, and things can go wrong, right? And so an apocalypse key, that translates to is, you are a powerful monster of darkness, but what if you go too far to save the world? And so, you know, once again, edgelordy. And so what happens is you can suffer from disastrous success if you roll an 11 or higher, and an 8 to 10 is the perfect hit. So every time you gain these darkness tokens by doing certain things, which we'll get to in a bit for the hungry, but then you have to decide, okay, how much am I going to roll? Because if I roll too high, that's a disastrous success, and my monstrous nature will, like, you know, there'll be consequences of some kind, or like it'll be an extreme version of what you were trying to do. Basically, it depends on the move. And then, but if you don't roll high enough, you're gonna miss, where horrible things can happen. So you're trying desperately to hit that
sweet spot.
You're like very much gambling with those tokens. That's fun.
Yeah. So people are like, okay, let's stick with 2. That seems pretty safe. And every time someone says that, I go, this is when we're gonna roll snake eyes, or this is when we're gonna roll boxcars.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's happened again and again. But yeah, so for the hungry, in terms of how a Shtare or any hungry character earns darkness tokens, that is specifically through feel a yearning for what I cannot have. So
there it is.
Right at the gate. Right at the gate. The yearning, the queerness, the pining of Rae.
That standing there and just being like, they're so great, and I just can't even. It just
right. Yes. Yeah. Because I also discovered only in the last few years that I'm polyamorous, and it was very. Every single time I have tried to come out to people about being poly, everyone has been like, "Oh, I thought you were. Oh wait, you didn't know." Was the response?
Were you unaware?
Just once again, everybody knowing more about you than you know about yourself.
And I was
listen, I'll tell you what my therapist told me when I had like an aha moment. She looked me in the eyes and she went, Sarah, it's okay that you're the last one to know. And I went, neat. Very cool. Very, very cool.
That's exactly what it felt every single time. I did tell Sean Nittner, and Sean's response was also along those lines, but also, but you know, I had a feeling, because there are very few indie TTRPG designers who aren't poly, and I was like, oh damn.
I mean, fucking read us, goddamn.
The secret's out.
He's not wrong. He just shouldn't say it.
Don't say it out loud. So yeah, and basically, like, so when I was working on the hungry, it was about like a year of me being like, oh my gosh, yeah, I am poly, holy shit, and like really coming to terms with what that means. And so anyway, so I just wanted to translate the yearning, but then also make it edgy vampire hungry.
Yes.
So I had to put in that last part of like what I cannot have, so that the players get to say why they can't have it, right? Because that's what makes yearning delicious, right? But yeah, and so the first way to gain darkness tokens in every playbook is always feel blank, because I wanted to give players like an easier opportunity to start gaining tokens, which is to talk about their feelings. Except some people in the open playtest did not like talking about their feelings, and they pushed very hard against it. They're like,
you can't make me.
I had like literal feedback that was, it doesn't make sense that as a monster that I have feelings, right? Or tell me you're straight without telling me you're
entirely.
Oh no. Buddy, it's gonna be okay. I want to give you a hug.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but there you go. And then the second one is always a react one, so that there's a way to guide like how the character can react. But this is always like open to interpretation, right? Like what that means to you.
Mhm.
So for the hungry, it's react with pettiness.
I would have
Um,
so many darkness tokens if I got them every just in real life. If every time I reacted with something with pettiness, I gained dark tokens, I would be swimming in them.
Just so
Right.
many. An endless supply.
yeah. It was, once again, this was hard to nail that last word. And it was
Right.
Josh who came up with pettiness. I was like, Josh, you are correct. It is
You are
in fact
accurate.
pettiness.
That's the word. Okay, we're done with this one.
So good.
Let's move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
And this next one is also so very good. Ask someone to feed me a part of themselves. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Very good.
Yeah, this is the higher monster level of yearning, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
give me something of you. I'm going to feed on it, right? Is
Mhm.
And
Right.
then I wanted to mirror it with the second one because the next two are always ask, right? Ask someone
Mhm.
so they interact with other people. And so the
Yeah.
next one is ask someone to give in to their hunger. Right. And so I wanted to be like, this is also like a reflection of the whole trans queerness again, of like, you know, that you are dangerous because you incite like queerness in other people, which is not how
Yeah.
it works. Right? But you know, that I wanted to like
Mhm.
play into that as well, but also for the player to define, like, for them to see through the lens of their hunger, right? They have to look at other characters and be like, I see what you're hungry for. And I wanted to give the player permission to do that.
I
Is
love
what
it.
is what that is. So like the thing with these gaining tokens is I have to think about, there has to be at least 3 ways you can interpret each one, because I want to make it as easy as possible for the players to pick up those darkness tokens. And interestingly enough, someone was like, Sean was like, isn't it too easy to get a +3 in a row to pick up darkness tokens? And like, shouldn't we make it harder? And I was like, no, because they're playing the game. They had to yearn for something. They had to ask someone something. I am rewarding them
And it's
for engaging in the content. Yes.
So easy, it sounds like, to spin too many of these darkness tokens and
Oh,
get
yeah.
disaster successes, which feels just in theme that your big monsters that are potentially harbinger level threats in the future. Like, if you're succeeding too much and disastrously succeeding too much, like that just sort of plays into the theme more than it would if you were failing or almost being successful too frequently.
And to your point of like being able to, like, my brain will never leave this ask someone to feed a part of themselves or feed me a part of themselves. Like the range of that ask, you know what I mean? Like, and how you can play that. Cause like 100%, like you could be the person like, hi, hello, my name's Sarah. You mind if I just eat your finger really quick? Like you can have it be like that very nonchalant, like just kind of bringing in those points. Or you can lean the other way where like you only ask that in a dire situation, or you know what I mean? And so like the weight that has, and like playing against the themes and building the character, like it's just very cool. And like instead of it being like an actual stat or whatever, it's just how are you going to approach playing this character? I could see someone having a really hard time gaining tokens with these particular things because they're not comfortable or willing or interested in like asking those kinds of questions. But then I would just say, you pick a different playbook, buddy. You're gonna make it. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Right. And so I remember during the playtest when I was playing the Hungry, I was playing Dorian Gray, right? Which was this wretched version of Dorian Gray. And in one of the scenes, I was like, I had to play being really vulnerable. I was like, it's been a while since I fed. I haven't let myself do it. And I was like, I really like you. Could you like feed yourself a part to me? Like, you know, and the thing is like, I had to be super vulnerable in the moment where I'm like, I don't want to ask, but, and right. Like it's kind of this Dorian Gray kind of like gay situation. Right. And so like, it was really good. And in the same period on another playtest, someone said, and this was like everyone stopped when the player said, I looked at you and I asked your character, why should I believe that we're going to do this? Why should I believe that we can defeat the Harbinger and get to the ancient door of power before they do? And then the player says, I'm asking you to feed me a part of your hope because I don't have any left.
This game is gonna kill me. This game's giving me a freaking heart attack, and I haven't even played it yet.
Sarah's not gonna survive the stream. We might need to stop.
I need to go get my inhaler for
I need
sure.
you
Are you
later this
kidding
week.
me?
I can't have you out of commission again.
I'm like, yes, like, yes. That's amazing. That's beautiful. That's what you want. That's that good. Oh.
Right. And so basically you've gone through most of the choices, right? And so
yes.
So something that we have is starting bond prompts, right? And so bonds are a very important part of PBTA. Usually we'll have a chance for the other characters. So I want you to imagine you were other Batman or other characters, right?
Yes. Oops, all Batmans.
Right. I can see Sarah going into the Batman. So
yeah, I'm in the cowl. I'm
oh my gosh,
I
do that too. Oh my gosh, I do that. Oh my god,
I'm
that
the knight.
Batman when he said I am vengeance, I fucking lost it. I was screaming into the darkness like a wild animal. Anyway,
it's very good. It's very good.
And it was directly inspired by the cartoon apparently. So I was like, okay, we're gonna focus. This is not the Batman stream yet. Okay.
And it might be. I'm pretty sure it is. But we're going to talk about bonds.
Keegan is like, who are these two?
No, I get it is the problem.
Just silently getting it.
I'm just silently getting it.
We
I can't add to this or we'll never get back on topic.
Okay, so the topic is bonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are 3 questions. The third one is the same always in every playbook. And the second one is always the more emotional, possibly romantic. Someone called this game a poly simulator before I realized I was polyamorous. So once again,
just reading
I'm the last person to know.
Your own game.
Ah, God. So the first question is, you remember what I was like before my hunger claimed me? Why do you wish to protect others from me? So depending on the nature of the hungry, this instantly makes another monster like older or ancient.
Yeah.
Right. So in the context of my character, Ashtar, like he's been around for a while, right? Because he's been feeding on other people just to desperately stay alive. So that means one of you monsters have been around for a long time too. But you also get to define what I was like before I became this like wretched vampire, right? So, and then the second question is, your heart wishes to consume me. Why do we bring out the worst in each other? Because I just wanted like a gay disaster question, right? Like,
yes.
There's a piece of art in Apocalypse Keys featuring the hungry, and trivia, the art director told the artist, so when we see the hungry and this other character, we have to know they're bad for each other. Like it has to.
That's the assignment.
They're ex-boyfriends who are terrible for each other.
Very good.
So. But yeah. And then the last question is, why am I tempted to give into what the darkness demands? So one of you, like looking at what the darkness demands of me tells me why I'm tempted, like defines an aspect of the character for me.
That one's really good.
Right. So which one do we want to answer? Who wants to?
I'm going to grab the first bond prompt. Do you remember what I was like before my hunger claimed me? Why do you wish to protect others from me? And I think looking at some of the things we've covered already, it would be too easy for you to make other people exactly like yourself. And that's why I want to protect others from you.
Oh, like it takes so little.
It takes it takes such a small push to get someone to where you are.
Oh, I like that. Wow. That is so cool. And like, so what was I like before the hunger claimed me? Was I human? Was I?
Oh yeah, you were absolutely human. And like maybe it's like a thing your character wouldn't have recognized. Like, no, you were human once, and then
oh no,
someone
what
did
if I no
exactly
longer have those memories?
Yeah. You're doing exactly to other people what was done to you, and you don't even recognize it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, like what if my creator like took and fed on my memories of my humanity and I don't have it anymore?
Right.
So good. So good.
Right.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Perfect. Oh, so good. Sarah, do you want to take one of the
Yeah,
other
I'm gonna go into the last one, and I'm gonna play my hand a little bit. So why am I tempted
Ooh.
to give it to what the darkness demands? And I
Mhm.
think like you've been like going for so long. Like the hunger is the only thing that's kept you alive. You've forgotten your humanity. You're like feeding on the shreds and scraps of memory, trying to like piece together something. And I would say, why are you tempted? Because you're tired. Like there's almost like that sweet like release of the darkness and like becoming one with like the energy or whatever it is. Perhaps like you've looked for so long for all of the parts of you that are missing, and maybe the darkness has them, and it's just like giving into
Ooh.
that, like find it, but at the same time not being sure. So it's this weird like,
Ooh.
is what I'm looking for there, or is
Mhm.
it here? And I'm so tired of looking for it here.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, and that's why I want a harbinger to like feed on me so that
Right.
that desire to like try to be whole is taken
Yes.
from me. Right,
Right.
right. I
Right.
just
Like
give
this,
up and give
it's
into it.
the weight is lifted. The responsibility is not yours anymore to like navigate this world in this form anymore.
I'm gonna say something wild about this game, and it's really good. I'm looking at these bonds like, yeah, these rock.
These are incredible. These
Oh
are
my
so
God.
good.
Thank you, thank you. I have so much fun writing the bonds. Like one of my favorites is from the last, which is we loved each other once, but why can't we stop hurting each other?
Oh no.
So
You're gonna make one of us go sit in a corner for 10 more minutes. We can't keep doing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel my plans. I'm just gonna watch Wuthering Heights on loop for the next 72 hours.
right. But there you go. Okay, and then the last one, either you can answer it. Your heart
Ooh,
wishes to consume me. Why do we bring out the worst in each other?
this is a good one. Um, I feel like, and I would love for Keegan to kind of add in as well. Like,
Sure.
um, the worst in each other, like a little bit like leaning into the element of hope. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm a very optimistic person. Like it's just the way that I'm built. But I think like there's like that kind of that yearning, that pining, that like I need to find something, and then there's like the response of like let me help you find it. But the problem is it like creates this like weird thing, like you're close to hope, but like it doesn't feel like yours, so you resent it and like lash out. And then but it's like the
Ooh.
pouring of yourself into someone else of like, but like
Mhm.
just let me fill that void in you with like my
Mhm.
optimism and like all of the stuff. And so it just becomes this weird like twisted version of like I can be enough and I can never be enough. Like you don't understand the hunger that's consuming me and how long I've carried it, and you don't understand like how much I can help you, and it's that
Mhm.
like
Mhm. Mhm.
constant
This constant cycle.
spin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
of like despair and hope just over and over
Yes.
again.
And like
Ooh.
being wielded in like unhealthy ways, right? Because like
Right.
despair and hope have their place and they're
Mhm.
important. But like when it's dialed up to 11 on both ends, it's just not great. Then you get like Candide and like super duper emo, and like those
Mhm.
aren't feasible.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. What do you think, Keegan?
It's really good on its own. I don't feel like I have to add to it. There's this idea that like the hunger's like, if there's too much hope here, it's like eating away at the edges of it, which is like great because there's a lot of it to give away, but that's only going to last so long.
Right. And when
Ooh.
all you have is the hunger and you feel that going away, there's like a weird like don't take this from me. This is the last
Mhm.
thing I have, and your
This is
hope
what
is
I've been for
scary.
so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your hope is scary, and hope isn't like a certainty, and the hunger is. So it's that
Mhm.
like,
Damn. Oh, that's so good.
oh,
Oh, I got hurt. Oh, in the best way possible. That was so
oh,
delicious. So good. Yeah,
that's
I
my
love
thing.
that. That's so
Play
beautiful.
games with your friends, hurt each other's feelings in the best way.
Right. Right. And that's what I love about this bond system, which shows up in a lot of PBTA games, is this ability to interact. And I really wanted to give as much permission as possible to establish like really like an intensity of closeness, right? Or intensity of knowledge between the characters. But yeah, so basically that is the last step is just to choose playbook moves, right? I only choose one, and then I choose between like a division move or a ruin move. So but just so people know, the one that you come with is called the gnawing edge of hunger, which is when you surrender to the hunger within you, describe how your body transforms and what you feed on, spend darkness tokens and roll. And like the reason why I made that into the starting move is that it both centers the hunger, but it also tells the player, you tell me when you give in. Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't like those games where like, oh, I'm forced to, and I have to, like, even if it's true that the character is forced into it and they're forced to give in, I want it to be up to the player when that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
You
with,
know,
like,
so it was
how emotional of a game this is, just in character creation.
Yes.
Like how emotional of a game this comes across. Being like, no, you give in now does feel bad in a way
It's
that
so
like
gross.
I'm choosing to feels very different.
Right. And so like I wanted to, once again, like that's why working with this vampire feeding hungry archetype is so difficult. It was such but a fun challenge. Like it really, you know, and once again, Josh was super helpful in helping me like work through this. And yeah, so I just really wanted to be, it's there, it's as supportive as you want to be. So some players, they do gnawing edge of hunger every session, right? And then like raw rabbit is giving in all the time, which is very cool. But then there are also other players who are like, it's always there, just the promise. Is this when you do it? Is this when you give in? No, I'm holding out. Right.
Right.
Right. So it creates a lot of drama. And no matter what you choose, no matter if you use it all the time or never, it's always a good choice. Right. It's always just up to you. And that's what I want players to feel confident in their choices, that they're always playing a good game and doing well with their character. Right. Is what I want to get across. But yeah, so in terms of which move I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I have to go with, I love all of these moves, right? Gaze into my heart's abyss is a nod to Avery Alder's like Monster Hearts, right? Because like gaze into the abyss is like one of the basic moves. So I wanted to like have that. Enthralled by you is scary because you can just create a thrall, right? Once again, experimenting with the creepy, like it's part of the trigger though. So when you share an intimate moment with an NPC, so I activated so that everyone can see it. So when you share an intimate moment with an NPC willing to become your thrall, ask them if they desire you. If they say yes, describe the feeding. So I put in like several safety check-ins, which is the first one is you have to be intimate with this NPC, and it is up to you how you describe what that intimacy is, right? So you can't just, I'm just going to attack this person and make them my thrall, right? You have to enter into this like, intimate space. So that's the first step. Then the second step is the keeper has to establish that the NPC is willing to become the thrall. But then the third one is the player character still has to ask.
I love that.
So even if they're willing, it doesn't mean that yes, it will happen. They're still like, and then if horrible things will happen though. I mean, it's like, it's a move where like you were just this horrible monster, but at least there were all these like safety.
Right. You're a horrible monster, but we're human beings playing the monsters and like recognizing like you have to keep the humans, and it's a game, keep the humans safe, make everything like cool and kosher and all of the stuff up front so you can like do cool monster shit. Like I think that there's like this great lie, like I'm a monster, I shouldn't have feelings. Like it's that thing where it's like, no, you're a person pretending to be a monster. Let's respect the person first. Like let's not lose ourselves in like this is just a license to be horrid. Like that's not what this is.
Yeah.
100%.
Sort of related to this, this feels like just with it needing to be an NPC who you're like intimate with. And like, you know, obviously intimacy takes a lot of forms. This feels though like a really cool evolution on like existing existing like apocalypse world, like sort of sex move style tech in a way that I think like evolved it really well.
Yeah, because like the sex moves are some of my favorite things in Apocalypse World. Like it can get so awkward with the,
Yeah.
But like one of my favorite moments in Apocalypse World was the sex move that my character, the Brainer, did with the Savvy Head. And
Very
both
cool.
of those sex moves are like, I'm gonna learn everything about your past and who you are and who you want to be. Damn, that sex move between the two of us, it took an hour and a half to play through. Like
Amazing.
We were flashbacking and like it was
So
really
cool.
But it was so beautiful. It was such a great moment. And
Mhm.
so ever since then, I've been chasing that. But yeah, so we're not going to go with Enthralled by You as much because my favorite one, which is like, this is the most me in terms of the move, in terms of the name, in terms of everything. So it's called Do Harbingers Dream of Monsters Like Me?
Okay.
Because I just wanted to, there's a page in Apocalypse Keys where it lists all the moves and you can see my poetic bullshit. Like it's just like
I love
the
it.
names of these moves are so over the top ridiculous.
Just hey tangent Keegan. I think we just found the title of our metal album. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
All right, I'll write it down.
Yeah, put it in the OneNote.
It's going in the OneNote.
Okay. Truly, I'm part of the cult. Very happy to be here.
Truly.
Right. And so the description of the move is you have acquired a taste of power that only a harbinger can wield. Under your skin, carved into your bone, burrowing in your flesh, is what remains of the harbingers you have consumed. When you tear away at your skin to reveal what remains of a slumbering harbinger, spend darkness tokens and roll. So this has been like my favorite move, to be like, just to describe the tearing and describe the harbinger that's like, and this is also all my trans feelings. Like there's a real me under here and I need to get to him, right? And so this move definitely encapsulates all of that, like that yearning and that horror and that desperation and that angst. And so it's just like one of my favorite moves, because what happens at an 8 to 10, that sweet spot, is your body ripples in perfect sync with what remains of the harbinger's power. Choose what your body changes into for now. But on an 11 plus, it's another harbinger within you. So not the one you were trying to get at.
A totally different one.
Another harbinger within you seeks to reform itself, tearing at your flesh and remaking it in their glory.
The call comes from inside the house.
Right? And then the last option on a miss is, and this is, some of the misses are more specific than others. This is leaning more towards the specific, but still open to interpretation, which is on a 7-, a terrifying harbinger within you awakens, one that you did not mean to call upon. They break you open, feed on your heart and mind, and toss you aside. The keeper will tell you what happens next. Prepare for the worst. So it's just, no matter what happens, it's a good time, is what I love about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you imagine being another monster and just like your edgelord hungry boy goes off to a corner and is kind of just like thinking really hard, and so all of us like just rips their chest open, another thing crawls out, takes a bite, and like throws them. Like that's so cool. Like that's very, very neat.
So once again,
my mind.
In one of the playtests with the hungry did this move in front of everyone. And there's a moment where I'm trying not to do it in front of everybody, but I have to do it now because blah 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 blah, and they do it. And the thing is, later in the next session, one of the other PCs like went up to the hungry and said, "When I become a harbinger, can I live under your skin? Like, will you consume me and will you keep me close to your heart?" And everybody was like,
that's horrible. I love this.
It's so good.
But yes, I have to choose that move. And like mechanically, it's also like the Swiss Army move because of all the body horror involved. You can choose different options that will apply in different situations, but you also don't know what you're going to get, right? So it can be very uncontrollable, super fun. And I think the last choice I'm going to make is, so you can choose if you're going to get a division move or a ruin move. And I'm here for the ruin, baby. I'm here to become closer to being a harbinger. I'm going to choose This move is so funny. It's not funny.
I'm prepared
Because-
to laugh about it.
It's called The Purity of My Reflection, and it's a rune move. And when I first started to write this move, and you're gonna see why it's funny in a bit, I was like, I need to write one move where the hungry is trying to protect someone or trying to be a good person. But by the time I wrote the end of the move, I was like, no, this is the worst move. Let me read it. So, the purity of my reflection, imprisoned within division is your reflection, purified by your hunger. They were once a person long ago, but now they only mirror the worst aspects of you, showing on their skin what horror lies beneath the surface of you. And when you share an intimate moment with your reflection, describe how their body has changed to show what you hide from all others. The keeper will describe why they still love you. So you choose how much ruin you're going to mark. If you mark one ruin, allow your reflection to feed on you. They will lovingly sift through your memories and fears. Ask the keeper a question. They will answer it honestly and with great detail. In addition, gain one bond with your reflection, which is, you're only leaning into the harbinger a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When I was playing the game, I did this move and I thought I was going to go with mark one ruin, but I went with two because we were desperate to learn. And I will describe what happens. Mark 2 ruin and feed on your reflection with reckless abandon. Describe how they become more grotesque as you become more beautiful. Gain a new power of darkness permanently. In addition, gain one bond with what the darkness demands of you.
Jeez.
It's so good though.
When I chose this, and it was the first session of the playtest with my
Oh my god.
my keeper was like, Lola was like, I am so scared of you, Rae. You are so terrifying.
Yes.
I do really love how that feeds so well back into those starting bond prompts too. Like, especially because like I didn't read all of these before. I was like, oh, like I remember when you were a human before the hunger, and then it's like, oh, imprisoned below division is a mirror with your human form in it. It's just like, oh, well, of course it is. Of course it is.
Right?
Well,
There
That's
couldn't
exactly
be
what you
anything else
described.
there.
How tragic and like just soul sucking that is to like think that like you've got Ashtari who like knows this thing but like maybe doesn't recognize it as himself, and it's just like it's so good. And that's what I love about like these games.
And he eats on memories, so when he eats bits of himself, he'll remember. That's terrible. I hate this.
Yeah, it's so good. But like that's what I love about these kinds of games when you establish those bonds and they come from different perspectives is you like without knowing it, you unlock parts of or like doors, paths for these characters to like go explore in like the best way. Like you add depth in a way that like other like when I made like in Monster of the Week games, right? You do the bonds and stuff. I had the opportunity to play that game for a couple of things. And I make my character and I'm like, here's my idea. And then we do the bonds section. And my fellow players who are geniuses and wonderful add so much depth that like I couldn't have thought of. And it's just like, holy shit, my character just became 10 times cooler. This game will break my heart every single time. Is what I'm learning. I need to be careful.
100%. And so, yeah, when I played this as a character, once again, this was me playing Dorian Gray.
Yes.
So you know how in the original book he falls in love with this artist who did the painting? That was my reflection. That was the poor wretched creature that was stuck below division.
Oh no.
It was so good.
So good.
And when the keeper Loa had to say, they describe why they still love you.
Oh,
to be fair, Loa came up with an amazing answer. But for a second, he looked like, what?
Right.
You are such a monster. Why would anyone love you? It's like that moment.
Oh gosh.
But yeah.
So
but yeah.
good.
But yeah, so that is Ashtari, right? Like was once a vampire, but now is just only their hunger. There's barely anything left to them. They're so desperate to like fill the void with hope and so scared of it at the same time. And I think like specifically for this character, the reflection that is there, I think, oh no, I have to do this. I have to hurt myself. It is my human lover from before I turned and I don't remember who they are. Right.
Ooh.
And they hold all the memories of our time together and our love for each other. And they purposely keep it from me so that I can't feed on it, because they know that if I remember, I'll lose my nerve and I'll no longer be able to fight for the world, and I'll no longer be able to hold back the apocalypse.
Are you okay?
Man.
I'm not okay, Keegan. But Batman said it's okay to not be okay, so that's fine.
Shit. Okay. Think about Batman. Think about Batman.
Think about Batman. We'll just go stand in my hall collectively. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, Rae, this is first of all, thank you for like coming and being vulnerable with us and like sharing your story and your creativity and all of this stuff. Like, it really is an honor to get to sit and talk to you about this, about where this game came from, about this character, who you are. So thank you for being incredible and like truly incredible. I gushed about it on break. I'm gonna gush about it now. This is just a really wonderful experience, and absolutely, like, when I had the idea for character study, this is what I had in mind. Getting to know the people, getting to know what inspires them, where they're drawing from, and get to see the people behind the characters, behind the games, and we can all kind of be vulnerable and get to know each other in this space and create these authentic spaces, conversations, making it easier for other people to show up. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So
Well, before we like sign off or anything, Apocalypse Keys is
Yeah.
on Kickstarter right now. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about that some? I would hate to lose this
yeah.
promotional option right now.
Yes.
But
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so Apocalypse Keys is on Kickstarter right now. Ooh, I don't even have it open.
I
I've been
have
that
it open and
good.
on screen right now, so I got you beat there.
Ooh, amazing. So yeah, because Apocalypse Keys is being published through Evil Hat, which is really wild. It is unbelievable. Like, I remember buying Evil Hat stuff years ago. It never occurred to me I would
Right?
get yes. People like have asked me like, how do you pitch a game? Like, how did you pitch to Evil Hat? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have failed you. I did not pitch to Evil Hat. They like came to me and asked.
They came to me. What a
Which
power
sounds-
move.
I'm only by ask. I don't audition.
But
So
the thing
good.
is, I really should have pitched, right? And so ever since then, I've been trying to like get myself out there and pitch and stuff like that. So, but it was Sean who approached me. It was so funny because they originally approached me for Balik Bayan, Returning Home, which is my cyberpunk game.
And it's really good. let's pause for a second and just say Bellic Fian's really good. And I know it's what we're talking about right now, so we should move on, but still.
Thank you. And then the funny thing is, we were moving forward with it, and then I released Apocalypse Keys, the beta version on Itch.io, and then Sean was like, I know we're working on Balik Bayan, but what do you think if like, and it was so sweet because Sean was like, and it really shows that Evil Hat works with artists, right, and understands. And Sean was like, I can really sense how much you're putting of yourself into Apocalypse Keys and how important this game is to you. Do you want to prioritize Apocalypse Keys first and publish with us? And I was like, yes, Sean, please. I've been working on this game for a year and it means so much to me. It's helping me survive the panini. Like, basically what Apocalypse Keys is. But anyway, so it is on Kickstarter. It is so wild. I have been working on this game for 2 years, about 1.5 years with Evil Hat. We've been through so much to get this game to this point. The team is so huge. If you scroll down through the Kickstarter, the team
I was
is
about
so
to ask
huge.
what it's like to work with a team that big, because this team is massive.
Huge.
I have some
huge.
my like at home play group. We were talking about Apocalypse Keys, and they're like, "Is it normal for the team to be this big?" And I was like, "No, this team is massive.
Huge.
It's so
Huge.
big. Which is wonderful. That's so cool to get to like work with that many people. But what's it like on the inside?"
Oh my gosh, because like, so Evil Hat themselves are so few. They're like 5 people regularly, and then but they collaborate a lot actively with people. And so the thing is, like, at first it's really small because it was just like me working with Sean a lot, like there's initial feedbacks and the initial like working on things, and then all these conversations, and then working with Avery for a few passes of developmental editing, then doing the playtest, and then later coming back from that, and then working with Josh, and then so a lot of those people who are working on the who are part of the team are part of the later half, like when the art is ready to come in and the layout and all the other bits and bobs, right? And it is so wild as an indie designer. It's Shia who was like, I'm gonna go to unsplash.com and try to like get these free images that work for what I need. And there's a lot of free stuff out there that's really good. Keegan has talked about this, right? But it's also just really wild for the art, for there to be an art director. Like, it's so wild to me,
right?
And Trivia has been amazing, like, and it's so different because like Trivia has been like, oh, do you want to put something Filipino in here, like for the Faye liaison, do you want to make it a Filipino Faye character instead of like, and I was like, oh, that didn't even, I mean, when I made the move, I wanted people to not just think about the typical fairy thing, but it would have never occurred to me to do that. So because Trivia's there as a director, and once again helping me find my voice and making this game me as much as possible, right? So like there's so many Filipino things that are in the game that are really great, and it just happens like to just tell an artist, this is what the iconic Hungry looks like, or this is what this mystery looks like. This mystery is basically Pacific Rim plus Evangelion plus
amazing.
Can you please make it happen? And then they make something that's more than what you imagine. It's just so wild to work with other people who are so like skilled, who are experts. And it's also just really weird. I don't know how else to describe this, but to be in a room talking to the Evil Hat people, and it's so weird to be respected. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense.
It is, right? Like, though, it's so important to them how I feel about every stage of the development and the process. It's just been really good. It's just been so good to be part of a team, and it's such a rare opportunity, right? Like, I've been able to collaborate with other people before, but on a much smaller scale. But a lot of my early design stuff was just really me by myself. It felt like me yelling into the void, hello, I make games. You can find them on itch.io. I do a lot of emotional memory stuff because I have problems and I'm a queer, is what I was doing. And so, but now to be on the scale is just like, it's so wild. It's so wild to be part of this team of really like just amazing people. I'm so grateful. And so the Kickstarter, we hit our goal in like 2 hours, which is also wild.
Amazing. Congratulations. That's so great.
Yeah. So it's just really, I don't know. It's just so much. I'm so grateful because so we have like Facebook ads and stuff like that. I only found out because my partner like screen capped it anyway. And so the Evil Hat team did tell me there would be Facebook ads. And then Matthew screen capped it because the comments were full of people saying, oh, I played this during the open playtest. It's such a great game. I'm so excited. Like, I was like sobbing.
Oh,
when Matthew showed it through me. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. It's just this moment on Kickstarter is just so wild. This crowdfunding, it just feels, I'm just really amazed. I'm just really, really grateful how excited everybody is for Apocalypse Keys, and it's doing really well. We've hit our first like major creative stretch goal, which is me creating division branches. It's a really exciting new piece of tech that's not in the book. We're on our way to the next one, which is Kiana Shaw, who's like an amazing creative. I've been dying to work with them. They're also creating a division branch where Director Middens, a cat, is in charge. So of course, I'm really hoping we're gonna make it happen. And then the next stretch goal is Josh working on a playbook, which is like I'm super excited about, called The Chained. And I'm so excited because Josh was the one who did one of the biggest reveals to me when we were working on playbooks. And he was like, yeah, in Apocalypse Keys, there's like the most important thing that you design into it is the emotional narrative that's in every playbook, right? And I was like, there's an emotional narrative in every playbook?
My dude.
And I went back to read it and I was like, oh, there's an emotional narrative in every playbook. Anyway, I think Josh is going to kill it. He makes a playbook.
My gosh.
because he understands the game better than I do in some ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that I'm really, really super excited about it. But yeah, so the Kickstarter is on. I think the last thing I want to bring up that's really cool is that there's a special edition that's only going to be available during the Kickstarter. It means that the book, so we have this amazing cover from Adrian Valdez, which I already love, but we also have the special edition one where it's all black. And like it's going to have this like spot gloss on it. And then when you shift it in the light, you're going to see the design come through. And it's from Jan Butler, who is amazing.
Incredible.
Their work is like, oh, so good. And like every time, but this is true for like all the artists, every time they send me emails, like, and we go through like the sketches, I'm like screaming. But when Jan was sending it, I was like, Jan, I'm so glad we're working with you. Like it was Fred who came up with the idea of this black on black, really sexy cover. I was so touched because I didn't think of the special edition, but Fred, who is like, there's an official term, head honcho, president, CEO, big person. I'm not sure. Anyway,
big man on campus at Evil Hat.
Big man in campus, but also does layout and also does this, like, because everyone in Evil Hat is wearing numerous hats, as it were.
Yeah,
yeah, numerous evil hats. Right? And Fred was the one who said we should have a special edition for Apocalypse Keys because this is the kind of game that deserves to have a special edition. Right. And he was like, it was just so weird to hear. I was like, oh my God, does it? Deserves it? What? Okay. And he was like, yeah, and then we'll reveal the door and the keys, like how the game is about revealing the truth and the mysteries. I'm like, damn, that is so smart.
Damn, I wish I had thought of that.
I know. So yeah. So the special edition is going to be super hot. I'm really excited about it. And you can already, when you back it on Kickstarter, you already have access to what is pretty much like the final text of the game. Like we're just waiting for a few more like passes editorially, so a few more proofs, readings, and then we're just waiting for the rest of the art to come in. So I already received a new PDF today, which had about half of the art like placed in layout, and I was like screaming. It looks so good. It's just really, it's so wild because like, once again, as an indie designer, you're like, I will spend money to get this one piece of art. That's what my budget is versus there's so much art here. Like it's ridiculous.
You have budget for one piece of art?
Yeah,
no, that came later. Keegan.
And my art, I mean,
that.
I have drawn this for myself.
When I was working at Cozy Town, I was like, I have to stress, I've been making games for 3 years, right? I was like, I finally have enough money to buy stock assets.
Piece of art. No,
and the thing is,
I feel that. That's wildly relatable. I did an extremist,
right.
and one of the stretch goals was I need $50 to buy Adobe art assets.
Amazing.
Right. It's so hard to go from that to
this.
To artists, like, you know, and I'm going to go back to unsplash.com after Apocalypse Keys. But for now, we are here. So it's just absolutely, it is so wild. So it would be great if you could check out the Kickstarter. Once again, you're going to get the PDF. It also comes with the Quick Start Roll20 module for the first door, which is a mystery that you can play in one session, which is very, very cool. People have been playing Apocalypse Keys already and doing the first door, and the fun part is just hearing the different stories of who ends up being the harbinger each time. It's just it's a cool part of the game, so I just love it so much.
This is wonderful.
Yeah,
my gosh,
it's great. There's a link to the Kickstarter. Again, it's in the description of this video. It's been in the comments on Twitch, but also you can just go to Ttrpg.link /KeysKS. We'll get you there as well.
Awesome. Anything else we want to hit on? Or are we good to kind of start closing out?
I'm good to start closing out.
Yeah, awesome. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, again, just huge thank you, Rae. Thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you for making this very cool game that I want to play and cry about.
Oh, we're gonna play. We're gonna cry together. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we are. Oh,
yeah, we totally are. We totally are. Oh my gosh.
I'll outro me really quick first. Hi, I'm Osirix Franco. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter, all the places at Osirix Franco. I do a variety of TTRPG content here as a part of the cult and across several other amazing communities, Critical Misses, Neon Lights Roleplay, Nat 20. I play in games. I run games. The next time you can see me doing cool stuff is actually this evening over at Nat 20. But the thing I want to talk about is this Thursday, I'm running Renegade Racers here as a part of the cult.
Yes.
Where my players have the worst has happened. They have died. They've all woken up in hell. And now they must race for their souls. I'm very, very excited. I have an incredible cast
The best
of players. It's gonna be just an absolute riot. So come back here Thursday and check that out.
Talking about things on the schedule here. Plus One EXP is real busy this week. So we have Lighthearted tomorrow, Kurt Potts game about being magical
such a good
college
game.
students. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. You
We've
need to
been-
prepare your 80s music in advance because that makes it even better. It's so good.
The worst part is
So
we've been
good.
scheduling this game for 3 months, and we've had to reschedule it literally 3 times. We've been waiting to play this forever. We're so excited. We'll be back on the
You're
21st,
ready.
which is Wednesday, with back request. I should have double checked what that was since I didn't know yesterday, but I didn't. On the 22nd, Thursday, back for Renegade Racers. On the 23rd, we have A Few and the Cursed. And then on the 24th, do we have a final Apocalypse Keys, or was the last one the last?
Yeah, our
Perfect.
last session, because we ended on this cliffhanger where we don't know if the Hungry is going to be forced to protect the oldest cat from another player who might stab the oldest cat and force a time loop to reset. It's crazy. It's wild what happens in Apocalypse Keys.
Perfect. So come back on Saturday. You have plenty of time between now and Saturday to watch the last 3 episodes. You have more than 3 days. That's an episode a day. You'll be fine.
You've got
so
it.
Catch
It's
up
fine.
with them if you're not. Catch the finale on Saturday. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Awesome. I think with that, then I think we're good to tell all the cult members thanks for coming. We'll see you later. And we hope you enjoy your pizza.